NCAA Best Bail Bonds big game coverage live from Miami.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com, wherever you are. Aren't you glad you're listening now, you lucky devils? And if you're on Facebook Live, wave hello on your own camera to Laura Rutledge, who's joining us here. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
It is so good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
And you can obviously quickly tell the difference between radio people and TV people
Yes.
when you show up.
You both look amazing. And you know what? I got my start in radio, so I appreciate anybody who does radio. And it is my favorite medium.
What
I'm not
is
just
it
saying
about the Florida Journalism School that puts out professionals like they do?
I don't know, because when I went there, I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to be doing any of these things that these other people have done. And there's something about, I don't know, maybe there's something in the water there. I also lucked out because I was there during a time where there was a lot of success for the athletic programs, especially football and basketball, during the Tebow years and all that, and Urban Meyer years. And so I benefited from that, and I'll be the first to say it.
I'll tell you, I'm a Texan by birth, and I was living in Orlando at that time.
Really?
Yeah, and I got there just at the reign of Tebow and all that.
Right.
And I'm an Aggie, and
I have a lot of Aggie friends.
Oh my gosh! And getting there, I felt like I had been dropped into some foreign land. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand the people, and I certainly didn't understand the love for Tebow until you start watching what was going on. Yeah. But I got there when he was in high school, and it was this legendary guy that was going to show up, and it was all true, and I hated every second of it.
Right, and I can say that throughout all of those times, and then even now, like, this guy is still that same guy, which is remarkable when you think about everything that's happened for him. But, I will say, I love Texas A&M. I love College Station, and anybody who knows me knows why. Some of my best friends are Aggies. But what you just described about feeling a little weird about what was going on, that's how people feel when they go to your place for the first time.
Is.
And then they realize it's one of the best traditions in all of college football, and they love it.
And that is so true. I'm a Longhorn.
Yeah.
I love going to Texas A&M games. And there's something from the tailgating to all the stuff going on. Now, I don't understand half the stuff they're doing or why they're doing it, but it's incredible to watch.
You're witnessing something interesting,
unique,
and cool, and different.
Yep.
Better word than what I just said. It's great.
You have to wear so many hats and do so many different things with the network, with the mothership. What if you could pick? Like, this is what I'm going to do. Would it be working SEC? Would it be the whip in the chair? Hosting the round table. I mean, what's the thing that you wake up and go, I get to do this today?
You know what? I wish I had a more specific answer. I think what it is that I'm still finding that out. I'm so thankful for any opportunity that's come my way, and I love all of it. I do think there's something special about hosting a show on a college football Saturday and being able to, go into the day and project and think about, what we might be predicting for that day, but then at the same time also just have that excitement about you of something's going to happen today that we're going to be talking about, and there will always be some history made on a college football Saturday.
Right.
So that's very special to me. But all of it I love. I mean, it truly is, like, I pinch myself every day and think, how do I get to do this every day?
Well, and you think about the differences just from a show standpoint, from being in the studio to being on location at a stadium or at one of those huge events, and how that changes the entire dynamic of the show from a host standpoint.
The energy is totally different, and it's funny because when we're in studio, there's a certain amount of distractions that might happen, like somebody loads up a tweet and they're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But when you're out on location and there's fans yelling and there's, like, somebody putting makeup on somebody's face or who knows what's going on with the guys, I feel like I'm constantly herding cats to an extent, and I'm like, what are these guys doing? And the producers will be in our ear like, guys, we have to talk about this, that, and the other. And I just always say to them, don't worry, I've got it. We'll get them there. We'll get them where they need to go. They're yelling a million things in my ear. I'm also talking to whoever I may be talking to. And then half the time, Feinbaum can't even hear what we're talking about. So, we're trying to keep him, in the mix. And anyway, you know how that goes.
Which guy on that you work with takes longer to put on his makeup than you do?
Peter Burns.
It's got to be Peter Burns,
Peter
right?
Burns,
Burns has to take forever to get ready.
And I love PB, but he is definitely up there. I would say, like Dan Orlovsky's hair takes a little bit of time for Get Up, if you guys have seen that hair. And it's funny because his hair is always got something going on with it in the morning, and we all come in, at whatever time, 5:45 in the morning, and sometimes people have just rolled out of bed. And there was a day recently where Dan was sitting there in our morning meeting, and Marcus Spears come in and he goes, Dan, you look terrible. Like, like, you look so terrible. And Dan looked up and he's like, I know. I mean, no one's done my hair yet. So there's a process there for him to end up looking like what he ends up looking like on TV.
I appreciate knowing that.
Yeah, it made me feel better too. I was like, I don't expect no one wants to like roll up there in the morning and be told you look terrible. But when the big Swagoo says it, you just kind of have to accept it as fact.
And go and take care of it quickly, because I don't want to hear it from him again.
Also, Swagoo doesn't have hair on his head. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But he's not really somebody who should be talking. But that's okay.
You're the only one that can say that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I would never.
I live in fear as we speak with Laura Rutledge of the variety of the mothership ESPN properties. As the network has grown and the influence of the women in sports, you guys, ESPN has been on the forefront, and you're on that cutting edge as well, as we're seeing more and more women involved in all the aspects. And do you feel like a groundbreaker? Do you feel like you're cracking the ceiling sometimes, or is it because of your skill it doesn't matter?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I mean, I don't feel like a groundbreaker, but that's because I feel like the ground was already broken, and I would always give credit to all the women who have come before me who have done so much here. But honestly, it is a moment where I get chills anytime anyone even mentions that, and to even be in that conversation is an honor for me. What I love is that I'll get a lot of, and I'm sure you guys get this too, you'll get a lot of young people reaching out to you asking, how did you get in this business? And it's men and women. And so I love spending time on the young people.
When they get that, when men are asking you, you've made it.
I say that's amazing. And so I'm very appreciative of that. The one thing that I would like to see just all of sports kind of grow in from the standpoint of getting more females involved is getting more involved behind the camera, because I think it's obviously important to have people front facing, but the producers, the directors, the management, and ESPN's done a good job of that. There are some other places that have women in prominent positions, but that's, maybe whenever I hang some of this up and decide that, no one wants to look at me on TV anymore or hear me on radio or hear me on TV, maybe going into management would be something I'd be interested in, because I think we need more women in those roles.
Laura Rutledge here on ESPN San Antonio, Radio Row in Miami, and you talk about all that. You mentioned your radio. Some TV people just suck doing radio.
They can't expand beyond the telephone.
It's such a different medium. There's talking in long stretches without people telling you what they're talking to video. I mean, you need to be doing a radio show.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Listen, if you guys would have me back on, I'd be honored to join you on a more regular basis. But I love radio, and I think it is such a skill set that you guys have to be able to just kind of weave in and out of things. You go with the flow, no matter what comes your way. It's funny because I've learned so much from sitting next to Mike Greenberg on Get Up every day. Mm-hmm. Obviously, his illustrious days on Mike and Mike, a Hall of Famer in so many respects. But what we do on that show every morning is it's not really teleprompted. I mean, it's a show that you might think would be teleprompted, but so much of it is off the cuff. And in watching him and how he operates and runs that show, from a hosting standpoint, but it has a radio feel to it. It
does, and I appreciate it. And seeing from when he first left Mike and Mike and started the show, and seeing how it's evolved as they try to figure out, what spaghetti is going to stick to the wall. I mean, but it is turned into that show that every morning that's what you're watching.
Yeah, we appreciate you saying that. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, Laura, we know you got a busy day in the car wash.
I want to know who took 2 candies. Like, you guys had the pile of candy here, and I'm going to leave you on this note, because sometimes you think to yourself, I want to, but I don't want to be that person that takes 2. Who's done it?
Oh, everyone.
Everyone?
Everybody.
Nick Mangold came by and grabbed a handful.
Yeah, I mean, because they're the fun size.
Everyone loves those, because then you don't feel like you ate the whole thing.
Except for he eats 5 of them, and it's more than just one. Are you a Snickers?
I'm a Snickers. I'm big on Snickers.
You take 3.
Oh, my goodness. So now if someone else asks that same question, which I guarantee you they won't, you'll be like, well, that idiot Laura Rutledge took
all our candy.
I
mean, it's just stop.
I love it. Thank you for the Snickers. You guys are the best.
Well,
this
congratulations on everything that you're doing.
You.
It is a genuine honor to meet you finally after I feel like I know you. You're in my house every day.
I appreciate it.
Welcome aboard, and glad you're here. Thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the week, man.
Thank you, guys.
Laura
Rutledge,
it was great to
talk to you.
Right here on ESPN San Antonio. We'll be right back. Lots more coming to you from the AA Best Bell Bonds ESPN San Antonio Radio Row coverage. Be right back.